Alright, I'm gonna do that vlog thing. Miss Roten gave Philip DeFranco as an example, and Philip DeFranco basically talks about anything at all that he finds important. Why, just this past week, I think it was last week, he spent 18 minutes, an 18-minute episode, on some YouTube drama ridiculousness. Meanwhile, he failed to discuss the tax plan that week. Jesus Christ, man. Also, Phil DeFranco's main channel videos are like super polished. That's because he is a business owner who employs like 20 people or something like that, and I do not. But he still puts up raw videos on the channel sometimes, and on his side vlog channel, which talks about his personal life. So it doesn't have to be that professional, and I need to. He also talks about stuff that's passionate to him, not always national news, like that YouTube drama stuff. He often talks about big national news that's really important, but he also discusses what people might term YouTube drama. There's a lot of people that he discusses in news stories that you might have never heard of. Certainly, he does that all the time for me. That I've people that I've never heard of on his channel. So I guess I need to talk about two news stories. So the first one, I'm going to talk about and the Russia being banned from the Winter Olympics. And the second topic is something that I'm more personally invested in. It's something that I'm more passionate. It's something that I'm kind of passionate about. It may not be super worldly important, but I'm still going to talk about it. So Russia's been banned from the Winter Olympics by the IOC, the Olympic Committee, for doping. Russia's Olympic team, I'm just outside, has been barred from the 28. Wait, that wasn't me flipping you off. God damn it! It's we're doing it live. Russia's been banned from the Olympics. 2018, Pyeongchang, South Korea. They're not going there. Any people who are from Russia who are still going to compete are just going to be competing by themselves. Neutral uniform. There will be no Russian flag. There will be no Russian anthem. There will be no Russian medals. The record books will say Russia won nothing at these Olympics. Um, I'm wondering about the World Cup. What about Zabivaka? The World Cup of soccer, excuse me, football is going to happen in Russia. Is this Olympic decision going to affect that? Is Putin going to cry again? He cried first about all the Zabivaka stuff. I'm wondering how the Olympics will affect the World Cup, if at all. I mean, if the Russian Olympic Committee, if the Russian Olympians were doping, what about the Russian World Cup competitors? It is unknown exactly how many were clear. Entire sports, such as biathlon and cross-country skiing, in which Russia has excelled in its drug violations, have been many, could be wiped out completely. This could change the Olympics for years to come. And this is some big stuff. This is a story that stood out to me, so that's pretty interesting. So that's story number one for me. And story number two, I want to talk about how people get really worked up about things being canon in their TV shows and books and games, etc., etc. If there's like a side work of off the series, a lot of people, even if it's good, a lot of people will worry if it's canon or not. They'll be like, yeah, it's very good, but is it canon? Canon comes from the Bible, like people who made the Bible canonized a book and put it into the Bible. And that's the term that's been brought over to fictional works. And like a lot of that crosses into a lot of fan interactions with their stories, with fictional works that they engage with. And I'm not with them on that. I don't think we need canon. I saw a video by Jordan Peele when he was on the Wired's YouTube channel, when he was looking at fan theories about Get Out, and he was like pronouncing which ones were true and which ones were not. One of them was like the theory that the TSA friend from Get Out, the whole movie was imagined by him. Like there was never any death. We're not sure if there was any death or not. So the whole story was made up by a TSA friend. He got some weird phone calls from his friend, the main character of the movie, and a weird phone call from his friend's girlfriend, and he came up with this crazy story about white people wanting to be black and switching brain transplants, and it's all in his head. And Peel was like, "I love this theory. It's not true," and he just pronounced it. Now people can own intellectual property, but I don't think like they can. I'm not saying they shouldn't be able to say that, but people cannot own a fictional universe. You can own an intellectual property, but you can't own people's interpretation of that universe. Like Jordan Peele is just pronouncing that didn't happen. Or all the times J.K. Rowling on Twitter has been asked about a theory, like is Ron? I think one of them was, is Ron? Did Ron, future Ron, time travel to the past and become Dumbledore? What an awesome theory! I think that was one of the ones that she was like, false theory. And I'm thinking, you don't get to pronounce that. Like, you shouldn't, you don't get to own an interpretation. And so many people get worked up about this, about something being canon or not. And I don't think that's valuable or needed. A fictional universe that I'm really interested in, where I got this idea from, that we don't need the idea of canon, is the Elder Scrolls. The Elder Scrolls is a series of games, but more than that, it's a community created universe. The fans create the world of Elder Scrolls. And there was a writer called Michael Kirkbride who worked at Bethesda, and he eventually left it, and he still works for Bethesda for contract work. A lot of people see him, Michael Kirkbride, as see his stuff as fan fiction, but he really made Elder Scrolls what it is. Now, Elder Scrolls is kind of sci-fi. Elder Scrolls is fantasy with elements of sci-fi, and it's unlike any other sci-fi universe you've ever seen. The Elder Scrolls universe is all like a dream of a sleeping god called the Godhead, and he released a comic called Coda, C0DA, all capital letters. It means royalty in a dead language. I'm pretty sure that's what it means. And the ramifications of it mean that this is Michael Kirkbride saying, this is canon being done. We don't need the word canon in Elder Scrolls. And what this means is the fans create the universe. You can go on an Elder Scrolls lore community. You can go on TES lore on Reddit, and you can write some really good apocrypha, some lore, and you can and if the other people there like it enough, they will like accept it as fact for them, as part of their coda. A coda is basically like a headcanon, except more so. Like, it's your universe. This is your Elder Scrolls. Not just because your character in the game is yours and there's no journey through the game that's the same. Like, your Elder Scrolls is your Elder Scrolls. You can, if there's any aspect of it that you feel like would make it better, then you can do it. You can write something in it and have that be true. And if other people like it enough, then they'll be like, yeah, that's awesome. I want that to be true for me too. And fan work has appeared in the games, and it's just so beautiful. Like a community created universe, and I'm super bummed that this idea is not as widespread as it could be. Like, you don't need to care about what the creator says so so slavishly, so completely as people do now. Like, you don't, you can, if there's something that's like alternate universe or whatever, you can accept it as canon or not, and you can like bring those side stories into the main story, and you can interpret things in new ways, and you don't need uh like, you don't need, when you're talking about fan theories, you don't need, if the creator of the story pronounces the theory as false, you don't need to care. Just because they wrote it, what makes them think they know anything about it? Right? That's what I'm thinking. I I'm subscribing to the death of the author theory. Like, they can have, the creator of the work can have their interpretation, but that's all it is. It's an interpretation. You don't have to let it completely be what the story is to you. You can have any theory you want. You can interpret Get Out any way you want. If you don't want to watch it and say it's clearly all in TSIA guy's imagination, or you can interpret, you can read Harry Potter series with the idea that Ron will go back in time and be Dumbledore. Like, what kind you can be, and what kind of interesting implications will that have for your experience of that universe? And but discussions of what is or is not canon. Oh, my computer fell asleep. Discussions of what is or is not canon just completely take over a lot of work in fan theories. Like, when a fan theory gets really popular, a lot of people are like, the first reaction they have is, let's hope it gets confirmed as canon. And like, there was a theory that Jar Jar Binks in the Star Wars prequel trilogy was gonna be a Sith Lord, and people wonder if it's true or not. You don't need it to be confirmed true by the creator or not. It would sure be cool. It'd be valuable for the theory itself, but you don't have, you can just accept it as true. That can be your interpretation. It's like poetry, and that's what art is. It's interpretation on the part of the person viewing it or reading it. You don't need the concept of canon. You just don't need it. Your coda can be your coda. Your interpretation is anything you want it to be. So that's my idea of things in a fictional universes being accepted as true or not by the creators. You don't need that. You can have it be true for you, and if other people like it, maybe they'll add it to their version. So that's, yeah, cool.